Hello everyone. Um, So hope like you guys joined my yesterday's session and day before yesterday's session. Like, do you have any questions for me? Like, hope like you don't have any questions. So please let me know like if you have any questions or ping me offline or you can just reach out to me. No. So let's get started with our session today. Yeah, just give me a second. Like, I'll share my screen. So let me share my screen. So I committed like few more scripts to the repo like Docker demo. So if you want to try any of these commands on your local machine, so you can just download. Uh, you can get the latest from the Docker demo repo, and then you can in parallel execute some of these scripts. Yeah. So let's just have a quick recap of what we tried to do yesterday and the day before yesterday. Basically, like what we did is like initially, like we tried to run the Docker Ubuntu container by sending an echo message, by sending a message. Okay, and then we saw like how to run a Ubuntu machine, like how to get actually the images from a Docker Hub, and also like how to run containers in an interactive mode and also the detached mode. Okay. Um, Apart from that, like we saw like how to tag a container and also like how to create an image from the existing containers, running containers. And also we saw one important concept like how do we share our images to Docker Hub. So, do you have any questions or any queries on these topics which were covered yesterday and day before yesterday? Um, Hope you guys don't have any questions. So, okay. So let's start with our demo process. Okay. Yeah. So today, what I would like to show is like, so basically, I would like to run a Node.js application on a remote on a container, and then how to connect to that particular Node.js application from our host machine. So in my case, like the host machine is like the Docker, the Windows machine. Okay. Let's see like how we actually um, connect to the node mission on node application on the container running on the container. Apart from that, like we will also see some of the important concepts like what is a Docker file, and then what Docker Compose is actually. Okay, so let's try to understand what these are. Like they are actually the building blocks of any Docker applications. So usually, like what we saw till date, like all the commands. So we don't use them regularly, like, but these Docker images and then Docker Compose files, so they play an important role in actual application development. Okay, so yeah, so let me try to see what containers I'm actually running. Docker PS. So I want to kill this particular container. So Docker RM. First, initially, I need to stop the container. And then I'll just remove the container. Okay. So I'll also um, delete few images. So let me delete some of these images and I'll just remove them. Okay. So till yesterday, I think like we covered some of these concepts, like how do we actually commit an image from an existing running container, and then how do we actually tag it, and then how do we actually log in into the Docker Hub, and then push our local images onto the remote server, right? So today we'll see some of these new concepts. Okay. So let me actually try to run a node application. Okay. So Docker run. So I want to run a container like node container. So minus um, so I just want to name my container as like node app, and then okay, so this is my container. So I don't have the node image locally running, so I'll just download it. So now you can see like I just executed this particular Docker run minus IT. So this is the new flag which I am actually having, like dash dash rm. What it does is like, so basically you can see like every time what I'm trying to do is like I'm again doing Docker ps and then trying to remove individual containers, right? So what this hyphen hyphen rm does is like, so basically it will delete the container once we exit out of that container, so that like it will reduce an extra manual step like deleting the container um, manually. So right now like we are in the Docker, so console.log. Okay. So I just want to print a message like found. So this is all the node example. So let's see, like I'm not that good at Node. So let's try a small sample, like how do we actually, how to list, uh, this looks like a lengthy program. Let's just type this. Okay. So something is wrong with this code, like, okay, just ignore it for now. So basically, like, yeah. So you can see like my node container, it is not actually running, it is killed. So now I would like to run my node container in the detached mode in the interactive terminal. Okay, so docker run minus it minus d and then node. So now my node container is running in the background. So what I'll be doing is like, so I'll just try to get inside this container, docker exec minus it container name and then slash bin slash bash. Okay. So now we are inside the Docker node container. So let's see like what it actually has. Okay. So it is this particular node container, like it is based on top of the Ubuntu image. So it has almost all the same file system. Okay. So now what I would like to do is like, so basically I would like to copy a JS file like which is present on my local machine. So this is my JS file, app.js file. So what it does is like, so it uses like base HTTP, and then it is trying to create a server which is running on the port like 8085. Okay. So this is a simple web server, a basic, minimal basic web server running on top of the Node.js. Okay. So I just want to run this particular app.js file in my Node environment. Okay. And then connect to that particular item from my Node server. Okay. So let's see like, so what I want to do is like, so basically like that is my container. And if I want to copy any of my code, like I cannot do that directly. So for that, like there is a concept called as volume mounting. Okay. So what a volume mounting does is like, so it will actually mount whatever folder we specify. Um, so whatever folder we specify onto the container. So let's say this particular app.js file. So it is present in, so it is present in this particular Docker demo one folder, right? So now what I'll try to do is like, so I'll just try to mount this particular folder onto the container. Okay. So here is the command and what we are supposed to do. So Docker, yes, I'll just kill the existing Docker container. So I'll just run this command, docker run minus it minus it. So I want to mount my specific folder. So this particular folder, I want to mount this folder onto my Docker container, right? So here is the command for that. So I'll just name minus v. So minus v actually specifies um, what volume, like the location of the volume where we want to mount it. Okay. So pwd. So I'll be using like pwd. So this PWD is nothing but like this is a Ubuntu. I mean, this is a PowerShell command. No. So this is a PowerShell command. So let me show you what it actually lists like PWD. So it lists like the current directory where I'm executing this command. So when I execute like PWD here, like it will just output like C Pawan personal Docker demo one folder, right? So docker run -it -v and pwd I'm executing. So I want to map this particular current folder onto src on the container. Okay. So src is the folder which is present on my container, and I just want to mount this particular folder one onto that src in the container present in the container. So I'll also specify my working directory, so that like working directory is nothing but like, so we are just letting Docker know that, so this is the base directory which where you actually supposed to find the code or something like that. So my working directory is like src, and then node. Finally, which image I want to run? So I want to run the node image. Something. So just give me a moment. I want to mount PWT onto the SRC. I mean, I want to mount my current directory to SRC, and then I just want to have this command. Not yet. So let's see like whether it started on Docker PS. No, it didn't start yet. The container. It's waiting for something. Sometimes like I have issues with my Kaspersky. I'm just trying to figure it out. So let me exit it for a few seconds. That helps us. Yeah. So actually, that was an issue with my Kaspersky. I believe like once I stopped Kaspersky, like it started working. Uh, yeah. So let's try to run this command again. So Docker run minus IT minus D. I just want to run this container in the detached mode. So I'm naming my container as a Node.js container, and I'm just trying to mount my present folder, my current folder to slash src. Okay. Yeah. So it got succeeded, I believe. Like, yeah. So my container Node.js, it is running successfully. So let me get back into this particular container. So I'll just get into this container, Docker exec minus it, and then minus it, and then the container name. So I just want to log in into the bin slash bash. Okay. So I want to start the bash. So right now, if you see, like previously, like when we did the Docker exec, so we landed in the root directory, but now, so as we specified, like the working directory as slash src, like we got directly into the src folder, right? Okay. So let's see like whether my folders are present here or not. So here you can see 1.txt, 2.txt. So these are all my folders which I'm having on my local machine, on my host machine. So here, what we are actually trying to do is like, so we are actually mounting the current directory, like this particular directory, onto my Docker container. Okay. So with this, how it helps is like, so basically we can have all our source code present on our host machine. So and then basically we mount the present directory, like our source code directory, onto the Docker container where we can run all those softwares like Node.js, Python, or even .NET Core, whatever we want. So let me try to make a new change. Like I'll add a new file over here, and we'll see whether it reflects over there or not. So I'm just adding pawan.txt. Okay. So let's see, like I'm able to see that or not. Docker, I mean, yes. So you can see the new folder, the new file pawan.txt, it is created. Okay. So we almost like we copied our app.js file onto the container, right? Um, so let's try to run this particular program, like the Node program, remotely on that server. No, I'll just exit. So till now, what I'm actually trying to show is like, so we actually mounted the current directory onto the Docker container. So now my app.js file and all my code, so it is present on the Docker container. So let me exit from this one. So by simply copying the code, we cannot run the files, right? So what we need to do is like, so I'm just renaming. So another instance, I'm just trying to run another instance of my node container. You know. So here, what we are actually supposed to do is like, we need to execute like whatever command we want. So here I'm just trying to issue my execute like node app.js. So in Node, like if we want to execute any JS files, the simple command would be like node app.js. Okay. So yes. So node JSON. So even this is created right now. So let me get into that particular container. So I need to specify the command which I want to execute. So how do I know actually whether we are actually running this particular program or not? So here is my program, right? So let me run this app.js again, once again. So, so when again I'm actually trying to run this particular program like node app.js, so with the same port number, so it is actually complaining like you see. So listen, the address already is in use. So because like we are actually running another instance of initially when we are running on this one, so it was actually running on 8085 port. So again, when I tried to run the same application, so it is just complaining. So there is already another instance of application which is running on 8085 port. So from this, what we are clear is like that the app Node.js application, it is running successfully on the remote server, right? So let me try to connect from my local machine. Okay, localhost 8085. So unfortunately, like I'm not seeing the application. So at least like I'm not seeing this particular message generated. So what might have went wrong? So here the problem is we were actually exposing the port, like we are actually running the port on the remote container, but we are not mapping it to our host name. So basically, like whenever we want to expose any of these applications which are running on the remote server, so what we need to do is like, so we need to actually map the ports. So let me try to map the ports here again. So Docker run. So I'll just see what are all my instances running. So I'll just kill these instances. Okay. And also I'll just create the other one. Yeah. So now I'll just try to run my application on my container by exposing the port which is required to run this application. Okay. So Docker run minus IT. I want to run this in interactive mode. I just want to kill this particular container once I get exited. Minus RT. So minus name should be like Node.js application. And then I want to mount my volume just to copy the code, right? So as I was mentioning, like each and every time when we run a separate container, so what we need to do is like we need to mount it separately because like all the containers that is running on top of an image, they all runs in an isolated mode. So they don't share anything in common. Okay. So that's the reason why again, like when I'm trying to run this Node.js node image again, so I'm just trying to mount my volume pw pwd. So I wanted to I'm mounting it to src directory, and then I also want to specify my working directory as /src. Okay, so I want to map my ports. So minus p, this is a command which is used for mapping ports. Okay. So I want to map this 8085 running on the Docker to my local. So I'll have like the same port number on my local also. Okay. So now I'll just run node. So this is my image name. And finally, I'll just execute the command node app.js. So this particular node, what it does is like, so it is actually trying to run this app.js command using the node code. Okay. So let me execute this particular. Okay, I'm sorry. I actually didn't specify my working directory here. So what's the message? Invalid volume specification, invalid non-conflict type one, invalid starts in non. So let me see what actually went on. the name and then the version. I'm just specifying the same version or I mean the volume and PWD and actually okay. So here it is. This is actually wrong. So I'm just trying to mount it to the SRC. Okay. Yeah. So we can see the message like server is actually running. Right. Okay. So now so this is not running in the detached mode. So you can see like so I'm not able to run this one in detached mode. So if I do an exit, uh, okay. So as this is not running in the detached mode, so what I need to do is like so I need to take another terminal and then execute over. So but before that, let's see like are we getting the output we are expecting or not? So localhost 8085. Yeah, so here is the output. Like I'm able to run my first node JS application successfully on the remote container using Docker node image. Okay, so this is the output. So just I want to recap the syntax, like how we are supposed to expose these ports and how we do volume binding, all the stuff. Okay. So the Docker run minus IT, this is for running the terminal, I mean the container in interactive mode. So here what I'm doing is like, so I just want to remove this particular container, running container, whenever I exit out of the container. Okay, so here I'm just specifying the Node.js version, I mean name of my container. So for volume binding, so I'm just using the $pwd. So there is an issue with $pwd. This only works with PowerShell. Like if we want to try this command, like so if we want to mount local directory on some other items like command prompt or a bash, so we need in command prompt usually like we do so in command prompt, we do percentage cd percentage. Okay. So this will return the current directory. And also one more thing, what we need to do, remember is like, so basically like if we have any antivirus running on our local machine, so we are supposed to make sure that it is not blocking Docker or these volume mounts. Okay. So in my case, that was the problem. And I stopped my Kaspersky for a moment, like until this demo goes on. Yeah. So this is how we are actually supposed to run the containers or download the containers, how we mount the volumes. Okay. So any questions till now? Hello. So any questions, let me know. You can ping me often or you can ask me now.
Can you show me it in the browser? So you have executed the server, right?
Yeah, so this is the one. So
In the local browser.
yeah, so this is my local browser.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I missed that screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we want to change this port number, so for example, like when this is a development machine, right? So obviously, like the development machines will have like multiple processes or multiple items running, right? So let's see, like how if I want to change this particular port number, what we need to do is like, so basically, like what we saw is like, so each and every container, so it runs in an isolation mode, and then it has nothing, it has no dependencies. So same, I mean, like if we want to run an application, Node.js application with same port 80 or 85 on multiple containers, that is possible. Uh, okay, so but on our local machines, so sometimes like there may be port conflicts, right? So here what we can do is like, so I'm just doing like 8086. So the first part, so what it specifies is like, so what port we want to expose on our host machine, and the second one is nothing but like the port which is supposed to be exposed on the Docker container. Okay. So here I'm just exposing my 8086 port, and then my Docker, Node.js application, it is running on 8085. Yeah, there is already a container running. Okay, so this should be the perfect example. Okay, so 8085. So the container, no, again. So let me talk. Yes. Okay. So here you can see I have like two node containers running. One is running on 8086 and the other one is running on 8085 port bound to my local address, right? So both 8085, this is supposed to work, and also 8086, even this is supposed to work. Okay. So I'm having like multiple instances of Docker running, Docker containers running. I'll also show you something like, let me try to modify this application like a little bit. Uh, so I just changed my message here. So I'll run another instance of Docker container. Okay, so I'm actually trying to run it on 8087. So it is complaining like the container name node1 already exists. So I'm just renaming it to node.js2. Okay. So you can see the other container is also running. So when I run like 8087, what is the expected output over there? So anyone can answer. Anyone there? So when I run like localhost 8087, so what will be the output?
So maybe 8087 is used in for Java.
No, let's assume that it is not being used anywhere. So I just changed it, the message, and then I'm just trying to run on 8087 port, right? So
Okay.
what will be the expected output? So the expected output will be like, hello world,
This is Pawan Kumar. Yes.
Yeah. So what if I try to run like localhost 8086? So this is my old message and this is my latest message. Okay. So what will be the output when I try to run like 8086 port?
8086, it will be hello world. This is Pawan. Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason why the output will be different is like, so basically like even though we are running the same image on multiple containers, so when I was actually running 8085 and 8086, the message was like Pawan AIA. So later, like before actually running 8087 container, like before running this particular command, so I changed my message and then I had like Pawan Kumar. Right? So let's see. So here is my message with the 8087. With the 8086, it is like the old message. No. So the volume mounting and then the working directory. So these are all some of the basic concepts and then most important concepts in Docker. Okay. Now let's see like what a Docker file looks like and how do we use like Docker files, okay, for our day-to-day development, and how do we actually build images from Docker files. So till now what we saw is like, so we are actually trying to download some of these images which are present on Docker Hub and then we are trying to execute them. So the Ubuntu example which we saw, like it is based on the Ubuntu image present on Docker Hub, and then the now Node.js application, even it is based on the node content, node image present on Docker Hub. So if we want to create our own images, like, so let's say like I want to create an image out of Ubuntu, and then there I want to install Java, PHP, Python, and then SQL Server, whatnot. So what am I supposed to do? So what steps are we supposed to do? So we cannot do all those things with the Docker run or the command line shell commands, because like so most of them, they are not supported. So let's see what a Docker file is, and how do we actually use the Docker file for creating new images and running those images. Okay. So I just want to clear some of my images. Okay, so I'm left with my development images. So let's try to see what a Docker file is like. So a Docker file is nothing but a representation of a few commands, like what we wanted to build or what we want to execute. And then based on these commands, like a Docker image will be created. Okay. And we can run these images which are created using the Docker file on our local machines. So by default, the notation for the name of a Docker file is usually like Docker file. So this is the name, and it doesn't have any extensions. So let me try to create a new Docker file. So I already have one, but I'll just create another one. Okay, so by default, like if we are using like Sublime or Visual Studio Code, basically like we can simply specify Docker file. This is possible, and then this file will not have any extension. But if we are planning to make use of like any other softwares, like let's say if I want to create this Docker file using um, Notepad++, okay. So what I need to do is like basically like something is weird with my machine. Okay. So, think some issue with my machine. So let me create a Docker file here itself. Yeah, the point I want to convey over there is like basically when we want to create a Docker file using Notepad++ or Notepad, we need to specify all types and then save the file as with the name Docker file, or else like we'll have a default extension like .txt, and that doesn't work out for us. So I'm just creating the Docker file. Okay. So when we are actually creating the Docker file, by default, like we want to extend one of those images which are present on the Docker Hub. Basically, let us take an example. So let's say like we want to develop our application. So the .NET Core application on a remote server. So usually what we do, so basically we'll install either Ubuntu or some other softwares over there, and then from there we'll just go with our own installation. So we'll install Microsoft .NET Framework, and we'll install further more softwares, right? So basically, like for every Docker image to be built, like we need to have one base image. So here in this case, like the base image which we are actually taking is like Docker. Here I'll be taking like Ubuntu as my base image. Okay.